Today's video, why Denmark is suddenly declaring war on immigration.
We are Lisa and Greg, an American couple living abroad in Spain. If you are curious about the crazy, funny, and surprising differences between the US and Europe, you came to the right place. We are on our way to 10,000 subscribers. Maybe by the time this comes out, we might already be at 10,000. But if we're not, you can go ahead and hit the subscribe button. That way you could be a part of the 10,000. So this is the invisible hand. And Lisa will share a link in the description so you can go and show the invisible hands of love. And we want to get them up to maybe 200, 130, 135,000 and 132 right now. So we can do that. So I don't know. You got any thoughts on this?
I know, sometimes we do a lot of videos about all the great things in Europe, but we also know that there's some bad. We have a few comments where people might say, it's not all that great. They'll be honest about what's happening. You guys know what's happening in the United States. It's like a whole show over there. So we know, we're aware that negative things are happening everywhere. And so we saw this, we wanted to learn about it and get your guys' input about how you're feeling and what's going on. We know there's an immigration issue, seems like in Sweden too.
It's interesting. It's kind of hard because, coming from the US, like we just don't even want to see anything bad about Europe.
I know.
So
that's what it feels like. It's like we don't, like those little monkeys you're closing your eyes and your ears, and I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
We don't want to hear it. And so when we see it in the comments, we're like, what the hell? Like there's stuff like this is actually happening over here. So we're trying to learn about Europe, like for real. So we might as well see everything that comes with it, the good and the bad. So
and then maybe you guys can fill in the gaps along the way of what's really what's been going on for maybe decades or so that we just don't know.
We just don't know. All right, you ready for this?
Yes.
All right. Ooh, it's gonna be a good one.
I know.
There we go.
Okay.
Showtime.
This is Denmark. For decades, it's been viewed as one of the best places to live in the entire world. Ranking high across many quality of life indicators like healthcare, education, and infrastructure, it's no wonder that it has often been an attractive place for migration from across the globe. In fact, over the last 3 decades, this has gradually been rising as Denmark has welcomed more and more migrants. But in the last few years, public opinion on this subject has completely changed, and Danes are taking a stronger stand against migration than ever before.
Tensions are increasing in Denmark as hordes of refugees continue pouring into the country.
It has some of the most restrictive immigration policies in the EU.
We're not interested in getting a whole lot of people who we're supposed to integrate.
Migrants are arriving uninvited and refusing to adopt Danish customs.
I think the one thing that I'm always conscious of when I hear the news, and I'm sure we all feel the same way about the news, when they say trigger words like pouring in, those are like, wait a second, I'm not sure I believe you, because, they may be coming in, but are they pouring in? Because we hear that a lot. We heard that a lot in the United States where it was like this massive issue when in reality it wasn't as bad as what the news was painting. So I just wanted to point that out, that I noticed that she kept saying pouring in.
Right.
So,
well, and maybe it's true in other countries, but in the U.S. we know that it's usually inflated.
Right.
So,
since 2019, Denmark has shifted its approach from integrating refugees into society to now emphasizing their return as soon as the situation in their home country allows it. In fact, the term integration has been replaced with self-support and return in official language. In April 2021, Denmark began revoking permits of some Syrian refugees, claiming it was now safe to return to Damascus. This of course sparked controversy, with some claiming it to be inhumane. But Denmark...
What'd you say?
It was a Syrian. I wasn't sure where the immigrants were coming from. But okay.
Okay, I want to hear what he said again.
Okay.
Of some Syrian refugees, claiming it was now Denmark began support and return in official language. In April 2021, Denmark began revoking permits of some Syrian refugees, claiming it was now safe to return to Damascus. This of course sparked controversy, with some claiming it to be inhumane. But Denmark was
inhumane because I guess it wasn't safe to return to Syria.
Maybe, I don't know.
That's what he
they're
was saying.
claiming it was safe, but
Yeah.
maybe the Syrians were scared. Maybe it wasn't safe, and they were just like, "Come on, get out of here now.
Yeah.
You overstayed your welcome. We let you stay for a second."
Right.
So I don't know.
Okay.
Of course, sparked controversy, with some claiming it to be inhumane, but Denmark was unfazed by the criticism. And those affected have been told to stay in return centres until deportations resume or they decide to return voluntarily. Typically, policies against migration have tended to be occupied by parties further towards the right of the political spectrum, like the AfD in Germany or National Rally in France. But in Denmark,
The MAGA party in the United States.
Right.
Yeah.
like the AfD in Germany or National Rally in France. But in Denmark, these policies have become commonplace, regardless of whether the government has been left or right-leaning. Of all the Nordic countries, Denmark has the lowest net approval ratings for migration from non-EU states, and a sentiment which is growing. To many outsiders, this may seem strange. Denmark, like its Nordic neighbours, is often seen as some sort of liberal utopia, with a strong welfare state and a generally very tolerable view on migration. In fact, neighbouring Sweden, which lies just a 10-minute drive away, has taken in by far the highest number of migrants of any Nordic country. But recently, this has turned sour, as failures to integrate have seen a spike in migrant-related gang violence across the country and its major cities.
This is what I don't like and what I don't get. I mean, like, we're immigrants. I mean, we're here in Spain, we're immigrants. And I don't know, we have just always been of the belief that if we're coming to Spain, like, we try our best to not bring our ways of thinking and being
exactly
to Spain. Like, I remember in America, the United States, we lived in Texas for a while, and we would see like bumper stickers and everything where there were a lot of people moving from California to Texas because of the cheaper way. It was cheaper to live there.
Cheaper housing.
Yeah.
Stuff, yeah.
And so one of the bumper stickers was always, "Don't California my Texas."
Right.
And so I kind of feel like that's sometimes what these people do. Like, people like us, if we were to come here and try and bring our American way of being, we're like Americaning their Spain.
Right, right.
So
I think the difference is we chose to come. So with that choice comes the choice of, we're not going to disturb the culture. We want to integrate into the culture. And I think when you're forced to, because of wars and disaster, you come not with a mindset of, I'm going to respect this culture. You just aren't thinking it, I guess.
yeah, well, I mean, some of them they choose to come too. Some of them. So,
Yeah.
you know,
And then they want to stay.
Yeah.
So, you know, you can't force them. You want to educate them
yeah.
to say, hey, you're in a new country with different cultures and traditions.
Yeah.
Let's find a way to integrate and be together.
I think it's unfortunate. I think I understand what you're saying. It's like you have these people that might have been driven out of the country that they were in, where they had a bunch of their own traditions and customs and everything. And so they're like, why do we have to change our traditions and customs? You know, and so they try and, I don't know. I think it's just a mess, and it's unfortunate because there are a lot of people who actually need to leave the situation that they're in. And so they're making a bad name for all of immigrants.
And you know what? I bet you there's just some bad seeds that are doing all this. And of course, they're being filmed, and then it's blanketed amongst all of them.
And it's a hot mess.
Yeah, when there's really some really good families, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And I think, does that guy have a machete, or what is that?
I don't think so.
A spike in
okay.
No, I don't think so. I don't know.
All right, it freaked me out.
migrant-related gang violence across the country and its major cities. Denmark's approach to this issue stands in stark contrast with what many believed of the wealthy Nordic regions being a welcome home for migrants, with its leaders saying that its generous policies of the past had betrayed the working classes, who have had to bear the brunt of immigration and integration failures, and endangered the welfare state. But where has all of this come from? Immigration in Denmark has been gradually increasing for years now, so why is it only now reaching a boiling point?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Denmark is also facing another issue. It simply doesn't have enough shows and films on its Netflix library.
Oh, what?
We're all ready.
Yeah.
Like, let us have it. What's the real problem?
We went from being on edge to talking about Netflix movies. I mean, which we understand. Of course, we're going to let this play because, we definitely want to support that. So that was just funny. It caught us off guard.
Another issue. It simply doesn't have enough shows and films on its Netflix library. In fact, it's got less than quite a few of its European neighbours. And unless you're viewing from Slovakia, then you could be getting more films. To fix this, you'll need the sponsor of today's video, Surfshark VPN.
Oh, there you go.
Out of all the subscriptions that I have,
or you can just move to Slovakia, where you
get more.
You get more stuff. Yeah.
Netflix, Spotify, Amazon. The one that I use most is Surfshark, and it's by far the cheapest. While most subscriptions cost upward of $15, Surfshark is just $2.49 a month.
Oh, wow.
And when you split that between 7 friends and family members, it's just 36 cents each.
Oh, wow.
So for less than $half each month, I get access to better prices on products and flights that use browser cookies to make things more expensive. I get to travel the world virtually, and I get to access sites that are blocked by my region, like Netflix from another country. And perhaps most importantly, I protect my anonymity from online companies recording my data. So to start taking your internet browsing seriously, you can visit the link in the description, and if you use the code InvisibleHand, then you'll get to browse safely for just $2.49 a month, and you'll also get 4 extra months completely for free.
Oh, wow.
Surfshark also has a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you can rest easy in your purchase. Click the link in the description to find out more.
All right.
Okay.
Denmark is one of the richest countries in the world, with an average salary of around $53,000. And the sudden feelings of negativity toward migration are to do with a fundamental aspect of Danish life, and one which is held very dearly to its citizens: the Danish welfare state. Denmark has had one of the oldest welfare states in the world, which began to take shape in the late 1800s, with the introduction of old age pensions and health insurance. When the world began to industrialise, Denmark, although late to the boom, began to quickly grow too. Incomes grew, and its neutrality and geography during both world wars meant it didn't face as great a hardship as some other European countries, and could rebuild its economy quickly after the wars. In the 50s and 60s, the welfare state was expanded again to include comprehensive social security systems, including universal healthcare, extensive public housing, education reforms, and more robust unemployment benefits.
Oh, wow.
Today, Danes can receive up to 1 whole year of parental leave, and they offer some of the most generous unemployment benefits anywhere in the world. Despite economic challenges in the 1970s and 80s, Denmark maintained its commitment to welfare programs. Healthcare and education are mostly free, and amongst the best in the world. The state is very generous, but this needs to be financed through taxes, and Denmark has maintained high tax rates for many years. The average Dane pays about 46% in income taxes, with broad support for this system because it provides a high quality of life and a robust social safety net. But Denmark's existing model of the welfare state has been put under challenge in more recent years due to an increase in migration. Currently, Denmark's welfare system functions effectively.
This is super interesting because it's like a snapshot of America, of the United States, where, what they want to do is they want to reduce the amount of taxes that the wealthy pay, and they want to take away some of the welfare state things that they're talking about. So it's like, and it kind of sounds like they could say, look at Denmark, look at what happened in Denmark because of how they did it. So we want to get to the point where there's low taxes for the wealthy, and we take away some of the welfare things that are available, like healthcare and all those things.
But the U.S. has never given as much
I know.
social services to these people.
You're right.
Their people.
You're right.
So, but I think what I'm gathering what he's about to say is that they have such a nice balance here. But if you have an influx of immigration, then that they still have to support these people now.
Right. Yeah.
So, and we get that gigantic influx, then where does the money come from that's for the people? That's a fine balancing
and that's
act.
what the people in the U.S. say. They don't like that the immigrants get any type of these welfare benefits. So we don't know if that's what he's about to say, but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
So
But in the United States, the immigrants, they pay into Social Security, which pays for Medicaid and Medicare. So they do have a, purpose in their funding.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Oh no.
due to an increase in migration. Currently, Denmark's welfare system functions effectively because everyone contributes to it. While some individuals benefit more from the system than they contribute, this is balanced by others who pay in more than they take out. And this is after all the point of a welfare model, and this balance maintains its equilibrium. However, this equilibrium begins to shift when the number of people drawing from the welfare state increases without a corresponding rise in contributions. Immigration to Denmark has been higher than emigration over the past decade, contributing to the population growth of the country. And as of 2014, more than 8% of Denmark's population consisted of immigrants, with a large part originating from non-Western countries. However, here lies the problem. Incomes earned by non-Western migrants tend to be significantly lower than Danes. Annual income before tax for male residents from Syria, Eritrea, Somalia and Bulgaria was on average 33,000 euros. For Danes, it was almost twice as much, at 60,600 euros.
Wow.
This also translates into wealth, as savings among 60 to 69-year-olds with a non-Western background were 8 times less than native Danes. This makes sense for first-generation migrants, who will take time to learn the language and develop the skills necessary to...
That's interesting. So I'm guessing because they can only get like low-paying jobs?
Menial jobs, like, like in the United States. This South Americans, they do field work maybe, or
right.
under the table work.
Yeah.
First-generation migrants, who will take time to learn the language and develop the skills necessary to earn a higher wage in the economy. But when this effect persists across generations, clearly migrants which have come to Denmark have not been integrating well. And this presents a problem. This paper from the Danish government analyses the net financial contribution of those living in Denmark, calculated by subtracting their total costs from their total contributions to the state finances. And it found that native Danish people contributed a net total of 41 billion Danish krones, while those from a non-Western background and their descendants had a net negative contribution of negative 24 billion krones. Children and the elderly usually take out more than they put in, regardless of origin. And to balance this, people of working age need to contribute significantly more. But even when adjusting for factors like age, the result is still clear. In general, net contributions are positive for Western countries and negative for MENAPT countries. Because of this poor integration, child poverty is common among non-Western families in Denmark, where 36% of children aged between 10 and 14 were found to live in relative poverty, that is under 50% of the median income. Compare this to only 2% among Danish children of that age. Put simply, poverty increases crime, and quite often violent crime. This study, based on data from US counties, found that the 10% of people living in the poorest counties had almost a 6 times higher homicide rate than the 10% living in the least poor counties. And a rise in crime linked to poverty has been a fear for many in Denmark.
I mean, that's the US right there.
Right.
In a nutshell.
Right.
So,
and now it's coming to Denmark and they're worried.
Yeah.
Dang,
it's crazy. But in America, the funny thing, I don't know, it's not funny, but the interesting thing is that a lot of these low or, low income neighborhoods and stuff, they're not immigrants.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
That's what it's. Yeah. It's Black families or Hispanic families.
Right.
So it's different. It's a little different.
Counties. And a rise in crime linked to poverty has been a fear for many in Denmark. And they don't have to look far to see why. As we mentioned, gang involvement and violent crime has been an issue in Denmark's neighbour, Sweden. Less than 10 years ago, Sweden had one of the lowest gun crime rates in Europe, and today it ranks second highest. In Stockholm, gun violence is approximately 30 times greater than in London, and it's facing a major violent crime issue, predominantly controlled by individuals with a migration background. This is already happening in Denmark, as violent crime is committed disproportionately by those from non-Western backgrounds. Stats like this.
So this is totally new to me. I don't know.
I know, it's making my eyes water.
Yeah, it's like I know.
Oh no.
I mean, I know there's violence in Europe. I mean, we're not that naive, but I don't know. I just didn't know there's like gang violence and all this kind of stuff that happens.
Why are there guns in Sweden? Like, I don't know. I just think guns are like freely available in the United States. And in my mind, I'm thinking it's like banned everywhere else.
Yeah, like you can buy a gun at Walmart, or any grocery, not grocery store, but
and I know they're not banned. Like in Germany, it takes a lot of effort, and mental testing, and all kinds of psych testing and stuff like that. So it all seems proper, and fair.
Right.
But so I'm not sure why Sweden has so many guns. Like, where are they getting these guns from? Yeah.
Like in America, it's a huge black market. There's all like there's a lot of ways you can get guns, and you can buy a lot of them legally. So, but maybe it's the same thing in Sweden.
Oh my goodness, this is shocking.
Yeah.
Crime is committed disproportionately by those from non-Western backgrounds. Stats like this can often be misleading, as many migrants are young men who, regardless of origin, are going to commit more crime anyway. But even after adjusting for age and gender, we can see that crime rates are disproportionately higher from those from MENAPT backgrounds. Denmark has looked to address this issue with a policy which has sparked a lot of controversy. Denmark's Ghetto Plan is a controversial policy aimed at eliminating so-called ghettos in the country by 2030. This is a plan to reduce crime and unemployment and increase integration in neighbourhoods with high concentrations of immigrants, particularly those from non-Western countries. One of the central measures of Denmark's ghetto package is the mandatory childcare and education requirement for children over the age of 1 from non-Western backgrounds. These children must spend at least 25 hours a week in daycare, where they are taught the Danish language and national values, where non-compliance with this requirement results in a reduction of social welfare payments for families. Another significant aspect involved the demolition and privatisation of public housing in designated ghetto areas. These neighbourhoods, identified by having over 50% non-Western residents, are targeted for redevelopment to rediversify the demographic map. Public housing units in these areas are either demolished or sold to private investors, with the intent of attracting wealthier, predominantly Western residents. By 2030, the government aims for these neighbourhoods to have no more than 30% non-Western residents, believing that a more balanced ethnic composition will reduce crime and improve integration, labelling the measures as essential. But perhaps unsurprisingly, these policies have also faced criticism.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I mean, it sounds good.
It sounds good.
I just related to America. That wouldn't work because you have a lot of proponents of that and would think that it's
they
discrimination.
Just want them out. They just want them out.
Right.
Period.
Right.
In the story, there's no integration.
Yeah. Yeah. But even people who are in favor of it, they would,
You're trying to be humane.
Yeah.
And so it's difficult.
Like you want them to stay because you
don't want to be inhumane.
Oh God, I don't know. This
They're
is
doing.
crazy.
It sounds like they just didn't have a plan, and now in the beginning,
right?
And then it just the total chaos,
right?
And now they're trying to create a plan.
But let's hear what the other side of it is, though.
Let's see what they're saying.
Okay.
Essential. But perhaps unsurprisingly, these policies have also faced criticism. Residents across Copenhagen have protested the law, calling it straight-up racism that discriminates based on ethnicity and origin, with banners declaring "our apartments are not for sale." And experts argue that the law stigmatizes immigrants and contributes to further segregation, rather than promoting integration as intended. But this hasn't done much to stop the policy. And while the government has abandoned the controversial term ghetto, the overall policy approach has largely continued under the new terminology of parallel societies. Denmark is also taking measures to enable fewer migrants entering the country each year, by leading a group of 15 EU member states in calling for the EU to do more to prevent migrants from arriving to their EU borders in the first place, which includes incentivising non-EU countries along migration routes to accept large numbers of refugees. Last year, Denmark announced it was temporarily abandoning plans to outsource asylum procedures to Rwanda, but it had not given up on the idea of partnering with third countries outside Europe to handle migrants, such as Albania and Turkey. And if you're from the UK, then this system may seem familiar, as it's very similar to Britain's own Rwanda law. which was signed into law in April 2024, before being dismantled by new Prime Minister Keir Starmer directly after coming into office. It's clear to see that Denmark is taking a number of measures which are not only stricter, but more radical than many other European countries.
Right.
Denmark is still facing labour shortages, but these are in high-skilled vacancies, which tend to be ones which cannot be quickly filled from asylum seekers. The famed systems of Denmark and Sweden have made these nations appear to be attractive destinations, wherein many newcomers and prospective citizens have hopefully anticipated strong governmental assistance with their relocation and integration efforts. Thus, the attractiveness of the Nordic region to both Eastern Europeans and non-Europeans relied heavily on the area's reputation as a welfare society. However, as time has gone on, the difference in the approach between migration in these two countries has become clear, especially as Denmark has witnessed some of the downsides of poor integration in Sweden. Its policies are certainly controversial, but with these opinions on the rise across Europe as seen in the latest elections, will other countries start adopting similar measures soon?
Man,
That's a tough one.
that's a tough one.
I know.
I mean, it kind of sucks because it's like,
You see it in the United States too. I know we keep comparing, but this is all we know.
yeah, I mean, this is called, the channel is US versus
we are
Europe, so
comparing.
that's what we're doing.
Yeah, because like you see it in the United States, like in California, where it's more welcoming. You see it in LA, where it's more welcoming because it's more liberal. But then problems arise, and then it becomes something not safe anymore.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but then that's always a battle that you have, like when you kind of divide like the different Democrats versus Republicans in the United States. Some are just super harsh and don't care. Some care, but also see the middle perspective, and so
well, they just make it very difficult. In Denmark, for example, they make it difficult because they accepted them in, but then they're causing problems.
I know.
So I mean, they can't just do nothing.
Yeah.
But you try and do something that still like upholds the
Danish,
like the spirit
belief.
of allowing people to come to your country.
Because they are a welcoming people, and it shows that they were the most welcoming, and and that some people took advantage of that.
That's a hard one.
And,
I mean, this is going to be super interesting because I know there are other countries besides Denmark that are impacted by this. So, our comments are usually just we've got tons of comments, which we love. But man, I really would love to hear just your solutions to this problem. If you even think it's a problem, if you don't think it's a problem, please do include those in the comments.
And how you can really help these people who were displaced because of war, and it's not their fault. And, and that's where the humanity comes into play. And this is hard.
Yeah. But not all of them are displaced because of war. I don't think. At least that's how I see it in America. In America, or in the U.S., people go there like because of a better life. So, I don't know if that's
Denmark is more liberal.
Right?
And
I don't know if that's how immigration is out here. Like if people, come to there illegally like they do in the U.S.
Yeah.
And they go there because they can make more money than they are in Mexico or Venezuela or something like that.
I think so, because I've seen boats trying to get into the UK.
That's true. That's true.
I think
here in Spain, we've seen that. I think
sometimes so. They kind of come over on a boat.
We're learning
illegally.
So yeah. All right. Well, we already been going a long time.
Oh yeah, I know. This is like a hard one.
But it's good though. It's good. I'm glad we're looking at a different side of life in Europe.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well. If you like what you see here and you want to support the channel, we have set up a way for you to do that on Patreon. There are free membership options where we get some behind the scenes stuff, and then there's some paid options where we do a whole bunch of stuff. We're trying to make it worth your time and to go over there.
Yeah, so, and there's a Discord for both options: the free, the paid. Discord's and don't be intimidated by Discord if you're older like us and scared of this. We had a younger person set it up for us because we didn't know how to do it. Yeah. She's amazing, by the way. Yes. Emma, you'll see her in Discord.
Yes.
But don't be intimidated by that. Just sign up. There's moderators in there.
Yes.
We won't be able to tell you how to do it.
Yeah, no.
But
somebody will.
Somebody will tell you where to go and
Yes.
get you comfortable in there.
All right. As always, thank you for stopping by, and we will see you on the next video.
Bye.
Peace.